Hello, good morning and a happy new year. I hope that 2021 is going to be a better year for all of us. In Cornwall we are now in Tier 3. In the little area that we live, although the numbers are low because we are in a sparsely populated area of Cornwall, our rates went up sixfold in 1 week. So here we are in Tier 3, and that means lots more stitching time for me because there is very little that we can actually do. Just before 2020 ended, I posted a video showing the releases that Hands Across the Sea samplers had in 2020, and we were just absolutely amazed when Sandra and I counted them up. We had to keep on counting them because we could not believe that we actually had 40 releases. That's just, it was some going. One of those releases was a release that was specifically for a guild and a chapter of the EGA. But the rest of the releases, with the exception of Anne Morrison, which was a store exclusive, are available on our website. 2020, looking back upon the year, saw Hands Across the Sea samplers starting to release PDFs. It started with Jane Marshall as the fundraiser for the rural fire brigades in New South Wales, Australia. And then COVID came along, and PDFs were one way that we could get our designs out to the world when we were in a total lockdown. And the one thing that we have learned is that the PDFs are extremely popular. I've had so many emails asking me if we would release our back catalogue as PDFs. And it's something that I am going to be looking at. The popularity of the PDFs have blown us away, actually. We still want to do printed booklets, but at the moment I don't want to be queuing at the post office with sacks of mail. And when we have a new release, you know, I'm shipping hundreds and hundreds of booklets and you know, literally taking sacks of mail to the post office. That means I could be in the post office for easily an hour plus whilst those are being processed, and I don't want to expose myself to COVID. I would never forgive myself if I brought something back into the house and my husband died of COVID. He's very vulnerable with his lungs. But we are still shipping booklets. You know, if we have an order for a couple of printed booklets a day, then we can manage that without putting ourselves at risk of COVID. Okay, so I've digressed a little bit. I had a beautiful gift off a friend for Christmas, and it's a needlework gift, and I would just like to share it with you. When I opened this, I cried. I cried tears of happiness. I was so touched that my friend had seen this and thought of me. It's just really, really beautiful. It's a little sort of sewing stand. You can pop your scissors in there. This is a needle minder, a pin cushion. You've got a little orts jar, and these are all magnetised so they clip on. It's just really, really lovely. There's a little magnet in the bottom of this one, so you can put maybe things in there that you don't want to fall out, so the magnet holds them in. Now, I was so thrilled that she chose this wood finish, because this finish actually is the same finish that's on my furniture in our TV room where my sewing chair is, so it actually matches the furniture. That was really a added bonus. So there we are, very nicely made, and I just love this. Now, where does this come from? Now, let me just get my phone, because I want to make sure I get it right. It's from an Etsy store that's based in Texas. Just bear with me a moment. And it is, oh gosh, my friend and I, we talk so much. It's the Wood Wool Stories. Wood Wool Stories. And as I said, it's Texas in the US, and they have all sorts of little variations of that little sewing stand, and different sizes and different finishes. So pop along and have a look at that. Okay, so I have got, honestly, so many samplers around me. I just wanted to recap what I've been doing and what hats have been doing. So just to have a look and see what I've been doing first. I had a finish before the end of the new year, and my finish was Amelia Bachelor. And I found Amelia as well, so I know I can write about Amelia in the booklet when I publish her. This is an adorable little sampler. I really, really like it. Now, I'm going to share a story with you about Amelia. This is Amelia number 2. Amelia number 1, I had an accident with. Accidents happen to the best of us. When I stitched the word school, I was just about to put the date in, and I realised that I had gone wrong, and my mistake was back in this row, and that's a beautiful row, really is very, very lovely. And I ummed and ahed, and I decided to unpick. And I was using a seam ripper, and I was watching TV, and I was also watching the dogs as well. And I put a really nasty rip into my fabric there, and I looked at it, and I thought, gosh, you know, I've got so much unpicking to do here, and that is a lot of threads. And although it was repairable, I was enjoying stitching Amelia so much, and I only had sort of like 2 stitching sessions and she would have been finished. I decided it was just easier to start again. When you unpick on 56 count, it's quite painstaking, and there was a lot of unpicking, and then there was a lot of repairing to do. So anyway, it happens to all of us, and I'm sharing it with you. It's just part of needlework. There we are, Amelia number 2, and I love this sampler, and do you know what, I really didn't mind going back and stitching it again. It was just such an enjoyable stitch. So when I can, Amelia's going to be going to the framers. Our non-essential stores are closed again because we're in tier 3, but we'll sort something out about getting her framed. So that was my last finish of 2020. And then I had a new start for 2021. Oh no, I didn't. Did I start this for New Year? I think I might have started this one, New Year's Day. Let's just have a look. Yes. This is where Facebook is good, because you can go back and look. It acts as a stitching journal, your Facebook page. This is my start for 2021, and her name on her sampler is Marion B. Horsburgh, and it's actually Marion Banks Horsburgh. I found this little girl. She was from Thurston, which is in East Lothian, Scotland. It's a delightful sampler, and for those of you who religiously follow my floss tubes, you will remember that I showed you this sampler in one of my recent floss tube videos, my floss tube on the 26th of December. And here's Marion's original sampler, and here is the reproduction as far as it stands at the moment. Mine is a lot smaller than the original. Now, I've got so much stuff here. This sampler and this one are the giveaway prizes for the 26th of December 2021. So if you finish a hat sampler in this year, you should send it to the hats.competitions@gmail.com email address, and hopefully you might win one of these 2 samplers. Marion's sampler, when I first saw this sampler and this little house, I loved it. It was like a fairy tale cottage, and I have been itching to stitch her since I first saw her, and I am having a very, very enjoyable time with Marion. Now, the colours so far are these. So those are my colours that I've used so far. I have at least one more colour to add into the mix, and I'm expecting it to be this one, but I won't know for definite until I lay the first stitches with this, if I'm happy with the colour or whether it needs tweaking. When you put a thread on a linen, it can change the way that colour looks, and also when you put a colour against another colour, it can affect how it looks as well. This colour I'm going to be using to fill in my fruit on this tree. Lovely, really sweet. Now, I'm trying to build up a collection of small samplers because I want to have a small sampler wall. I happened to see a wall full of small samplers and it took my breath away, and this year with the little gems I'm slowly building up my small sampler wall. I'm planning on Marion to hang with Lily. As you can see, she's a little bit bigger but a comparable size. It's nice to have different walls, like you know, I have a wall of band samplers, I have a wall of my early Ada samplers when I stitched on Ada, a lot of Moira Blackburns. It's lovely to have walls or collections or groupings in your home of different styles of samplers. Okay, so that's my project at the moment, which is bringing me so much pleasure. Now, the other project I've got on the go is Anne Morrison, and I could not wait to start Anne Morrison, the second month assignment, and that was in January, this bottom row here, and the little dividing row underneath. This sampler is so pretty. And there are so many people stitching this sampler. There's well over 1,200 people stitching the sampler, and I think there's been 1 or 2 finishes already. This is the model that was stitched by Angela Bullbeck in Canada, and I'm hoping that by the end of November this year I will have a completed Anne Morrison as well. I'm using Legacy Linen Jersey Cream, which is the same that the model was stitched on, and It's so nice to be stitching on legacy linen. The quality of legacy linen is just fabulous. It's an Italian linen. It's a premium Italian linen, and it's just a joy. Another sampler that we stitched on Jersey Cream is Anne Webb, and Anne was released, she was one of our Christmas samplers, and Anne has proved to be an extremely popular download. A lot of people have been downloading Anne Webb. She is very, very pretty, and she is on Jersey Cream as well. Now, going back to Anne Morrison, I've been having, as so many people are stitching her and they're starting to show her, not only in the dedicated Facebook page for the Anne Morrison Stitchalong, but people have been starting to show her on Instagram and in different needlework forums. I've been having emails saying we can't see her on your website. Well, Anne Morrison is an exclusive for traditional stitches, and she is a stitch along to celebrate their 20th anniversary. The booklet is a limited edition. It's specifically for traditional stitches, and there are only a couple of booklets left. If you want to join the stitch along, or whether you just want to stitch her by yourselves, you need to go to Traditional Stitches website and order the booklet. She is a delicious sampler. Those colours are just so beautiful on Anne Morrison. This also relates to Anne Morrison. A lady finished and posted her finish of Heather Jardine in the last week or so, and again I've had a lot of emails asking me where can we get the chart for Heather Jardine. Well, Heather is not for sale. Heather's chart was my gift to all the people who signed up for the Anne Morrison Stitchalong. So you only have access to Heather at the moment if you purchase the booklet for Anne Morrison. If you purchase the booklet for Anne Morrison, you will receive a link from Traditional Stitches so that you can download the chart for Heather. If you want to find out more about Heather, I talk about her and feature her in previous Flosstube videos, and I shared my journey with you as I was stitching her, and Heather was personalised as a gift for me to give a child called Violet, and I personalised the sampler and I shared my personalisation in the Anne Morrison Stitchalong group, so that if you wanted to add this particular verse, you could. It's been really, really lovely seeing everybody's interpretation of this chart, you know, so if you want Heather, you only have the copy of the chart if you purchase Anne Morrison. I'm sorry about that, but it was my gift. I can't do a special gift and then start selling it. I've had all sorts of requests, people trying to get a copy of this chart. Anyway, I'm starting to digress a little bit now. Stitch-alongs. Well, 2 stitch-alongs started on January the 1st for Hands Across the Sea samplers. Where have I put that? Yes, in Australia, I should say Tasmania, a Stitch in Time, Carolyn has started the stitch-along for Eliza Johnson, and she posted a photograph of a stitching in her store. Now, it's perfectly legal in Australia. Australia and New Zealand have been so lucky with COVID. So in Tasmania, people can live normal lives. So she posted this photograph of a group of ladies sitting around the table starting to stitch Eliza, and I wish I miss stitching with my friends so much. But anyway, the Stitch Along for Eliza Johnson, it's not just for people who are local to the store, it's for people all around the world. And Carolyn's going to do some live video stitch-ins as well. So if you're stitching Eliza Johnson, go and find the Stitch Along page on Facebook and join in so that you can share your journey with Eliza, with other needleworkers as well. Now the other Stitch Along that started was the one that Krista Gramer is running on our sampler years, and the Stitch Along is for Martha Dawson, and there are an awful lot of people stitching Martha. Krista had her first live stitching video on January the 1st, and she started on the border, and this border is so beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. So if you would like to see Krista's video, you need to do that through our Sampler Years, which is a group on Facebook, and you are very welcome to join along in that Stitch Along as well. So right, what else have I got here? Oh yes, the Alexanders of Lynn Stratham. I'm showing this again today, one because she was a Christmas release. It was one of the releases that we had lined up for Christmas that we released early, and the Alexanders of Lynn Stratham were released as a printed booklet and as a PDF. And the reason we released her and Jane Surtees early was because people in the Southern Hemisphere were very concerned that they were not going to get their booklets in time for Christmas. But these were Christmas releases. Now, the Alexanders of Lynn Stratham are going off now on a journey. They're going, yes, it is they, because this sampler celebrates the whole family. The sampler is going to the model stitcher now, for her to hang into her home and to enjoy. So this is the last time that I'm going to be showing the model for the Alexanders of Lynn Stratham. This is an amazing sampler. I love this sampler so much. In fact, I may well stitch this sampler myself so that I can hang it on my sampler wall. Anne Castle. She is amazing, isn't she? Robert's a fabulous needleworker. This was our release on December the 23rd, and there has been so much interest in this sampler. I had an email from a lady asking if there was any way that she could buy a printed version of the PDF. This lady lives in the US. She doesn't have a very good printer. Kathy Mills of the Hobby House Needleworks will print the PDFs for her customers. So if you live in the US and you don't have a printer, or you don't have a good quality printer, you can purchase the PDF through Kathy at the Hobby House Needleworks, and she will print it out for you. She says that she has a very good high quality printer. So if you haven't got a printer, you know, you can still get the download printed for you if you purchase through Kathy. Beautiful sampler. Anyway, I think that rounds up everything for this week. I seem to have so much around me. I've had lots of messages of support about Hugo and his heart, and it's surprising how many of you have dogs that have heart murmurs. Hugo's appointment with the cardiologist is on the 28th of January, and he's going to be having an ultrasound, but he is thriving. He is 17.2 kilos. You know, he's heavy. I'm struggling now to pick him up. He is very active. His coat is gleaming. His eyes are bright. You know, he's a happy dog. So I'm staying very positive and praying that it is just a phase that he's going through. It hasn't affected him whatsoever. So anyway, I will let you know as soon as we have the results of his ultrasound scan, which I'm hoping is going to be as it happens. We can't go in with him to the vets, and the cardiologist, she is you know, one of the ones that's at the top of the game, and she comes down to Cornwall once a month to see referrals. So yeah, fingers crossed with little Hugo. Hugo and Bertie, they are absolutely inseparable. They love each other to bits. It's a joy to see them together. They fill our days with so much happiness and joy. I feel very, very blessed to have a wonderful husband, my dogs, and to have my Needle as well. My Needle has been a wonderful companion in 2020. I showed my finishes, my personal finishes, on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, at the end of the year, and I was actually amazed by how many I stitched. I think I stitched 20. No, that's not quite right. I either stitched or released 20 of my own work. Jane Fiddis I had stitched the year before, and I had stitched the bulk of the Pink Canal Sisters the year before, but I believe I have finished that in 2020. But even 18, that was amazing going. I don't think that there will ever be a year of so much stitching again. I think probably we will all look back at 2020 as a vintage year for our needlework. I think we were probably, all of us, far more productive. Okay, right, until the next video. Have a good week, stay well, stay safe, and bye-bye.